how's it going? Today is probably just going to be a short live because my hand, my wrist, and my arm are hurting me today. So it's probably going to be, a fast live. But I wanted to talk about music marketing. And more specifically, I wanted to talk about, how to set up your ad account. Because, hi, how y'all doing? Thank you for joining. I had someone come to me, and the issue that they were having was they made a Google ad, but because they had an ad credit, but the issue there was got distracted, sorry. So the issue there was they set their budget on Google to be higher than the actual money that they had. So I forgot the numbers, but I think it was like $500 for the ad credit, and then they set the budget to go for I think they set it to go for like, I forgot the number, but they made it like $400 or $500 a day. And so their ad, it spent like $1,000, and they're freaking out, right? Because who has that amount of money, and it's going on their credit card now. And so they're like, what did I do wrong and everything? And I'm like looking at everything they did, and I see the budget, and I'm just like, oh yeah, you told it to spend that money. It's kind of like, though, but the issue with the mistake is it's kind of like if you go to like a bar and you order just more food than you have the money for, It's a lot like that. It's kind of what he did. But he did it because he thought he could just turn off the ad and not spend it. But what happened was most of the money, it got spent overnight. Like while we were sleeping, hundreds of leads came in one day. So, yeah. So there was like an issue. There was like a lot of problems there. And so I wanted to talk about how I'm getting there is, like what was wrong and how he could have fixed that. But so the first thing is, as we discussed with the budget issue, you never want to make your budget for like an ad when you're setting the budget in the ad account. You never want to put it to be more than you have the ability to actually pay, because it will come out of your account. So that's just like the first thing first. Like a lot of people, they kind of struggle with that. They think, oh, I'll just turn it off. No, don't turn it off. You set a campaign end date. Because what the way that, oh, hey, how you doing? The way that it works is it's just going to spend your money as fast as possible. So I'm just talking about how Google ads work, because I had, someone come to me and they accidentally put in their ad budget more money than they had in the ad account setup, and so it spent a lot of money. Thank you, Big Daddy, for the likes. I appreciate you. And thank you for the follow, kiddos. I appreciate you. So, I'm gonna show you guys what I am talking about. So, like, this is for like a Facebook ad. And Facebook and Google, like, I'm about to show you the difference between the ad setup. And you'll see, like, they have a lot in common. But, so you have like your main ad account. Then you have your campaign. And the campaign is usually set up by either like offer, like say you have like clothes, you could do it by dresses, you could do it by sweaters, you could do it by t-shirts, you could do it, by any of that. Then it could be by geography, you could do it by state, you could do it by country, you could do it by like anything like that. Thank you for the likes, I appreciate you. And then you can also do it by like SKU if you're doing e-commerce and you have that. So there's different ways to set it up for what works for you. And then with ad sets, and I got this graphic is from WordStream. So, but with ad sets, each campaign has an ad set and each ad set has a group of ads. So the ad set is where you choose who each ad goes to. And why that is important is each campaign has a funnel, and each ad set is sending a different message to people based on how they have interacted with you. So, for example, ad set 1 would be to my landing page. Ad set 2 would be back to abandoned cart, add to cart, for example. Like that could be one, And then the campaign could be by event. It could be by merchandise. It could be by anything I need it to be by. And so that's like an example. And then you can have different campaigns. So typically you do one called an evergreen. And it's when it works all year long. It doesn't matter. There's no end date. There's no holiday, temporary discount, none of that. It's something that can work for you all year long. You just change the ad creative every now and then because people do get ad fatigue. But then besides that, you have campaigns like holidays, events, the temporary stuff. And so that's what is good to do. And then a funnel is literally when you're sending a message to the right person at the right time. A funnel is just going to be what sends them through a buyer's journey with you, how they find out about you, and then how they are able to pay. And so with Google is very similar to Facebook, but it's just called a different thing. But it works like a lot of the same way. People just find you in a different way. You can be more specific with how they find you on Google because you can control the keyword. And so with Google, you have it's also by campaigns, but then they call it, instead of an ad set, they call it ad group. And then it's also called ads within the ad group. So, just like different words. And it's very similar to how in like the music, industry, like with DAWs, Digital Audio Workstations, they all work the same way in a way, but they just, they call the functions, different things. But at the end of the day, for like the most part, you can do a lot of the same things, like a lot of the same. And so yeah, One thing I wanted to talk about is signal flow. How signals, work the same kind of way for ads as it does for music. So in music recording, you have a signal. Like say you have a voice and you go into the mic, then that could have like a preamp perhaps, or a converter maybe, depending on your needs, depending on the microphone. Not every mic needs a preamp. That's usually for condensers, if I'm not mistaken. Like if you've got a Shure, those can withstand anything. You can drop those and they'll be fine. I'm just kidding. But so the signal basically, depending on the instrumentation, it could go into a computer. It could go into like an actual workstation, or a mixer, depending on what you're doing. If you're doing like a live recording, if you're in a studio, that just depends. But what I want to talk about is the difference that you record with live music versus with in the studio. There's usually like two different ways that you do that. Like in studio, because they don't want to burst the speakers, or for the sound, what you do when you're mixing live sound versus recording the live sound. And the difference between mixing it and recording it is, mixing it is what the audience hears like at the show, versus recording it is what you hear on the like CD or on the audio later, So with the live recording, you want to save as much of the signal as possible, because once it's gone. That moment is never coming back, So you start off high and then you go down low, because if you have too much high, if it's redlining, then you're going to have distortion. But if it's not high enough, you're not going to capture all of the sound for live recording. Versus in the studio, you can re-record as much as you need. So it's better to protect your gear and not overdo the signal. It's better to raise the signal, find the right place, do a sound check. That's what sound check is for. And then you do your thing, and you can re-record if you need to. Versus live recording, when you're recording, a live show, once it's gone, the moment's gone, So you save as much as you can, and then you adjust so you don't so you don't like fuck up your shit. And I have a point, I swear. And then when you're mixing, you're mixing sound live for the shows, you don't want to fuck up your speakers, so you will also need to make sure that you start off low and then go high, so you don't fuck up your speakers. So that works the same way. Okay, well, here's how that compares to ads, right? With ads, when you tell ads, okay, here's my money, it's going to spend that money as quickly as possible is the default. Whether or not you're using Google, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, they all work the same in that way. They're going to spend that money. So what we do is we set, it's called cost caps. And they all call their cost caps different things, but that is the term for what we're doing. And so that's what my point is. When you set up an ad, it's always better to set up with cost caps to limit the amount of money you spend, because once you spend the money, it's gone. You can't get that back. They're going to say, nah, fuck you. They're not going to give you your money back unless you can prove to them that you put in something regarding the ad and they did it wrong, you know? And you have to track your analytics for that and know. For example, the same person that I was talking about, like, you know, he put in very specific location and language targeting for the ad, but we did not get those parameters. So if those were set right, that's one of the ways that I think he's actually going to be able to get his money back. So if you know what you're looking out for with the analytics, you can also save yourself money, because you can then show the screenshots on both sides saying, look, Google, this is what I told the ad to do, and this is what my analytics are showing me, so what the fuck, give me my money. You know, you can do that. So that's, you know, why it's also important to track what you're doing. But okay, back to the signal flow. Once the money's gone, it's gone. It's better to save your money and not spend like more than you need to. When you put cost caps, your ads are not going to run as fast. So it gives you like a little warning, because it's like other people are going to get their ads shown first. But that's fine, because the bid strategy for that is to let them run up their ad budget first, and then you come in after with the cheaper keywords. And that's fine, because at the end of the day, they want your money. There is, like, if you spend, I forgot the limit, but I think it's maybe, let's just say it's $1, because I forgot. But let's just say it's $1. There's like a limit on the keyword. Like if it's too low, they won't run your ad. So you have to set it at like at least $1. Is like the average cost per click. So, you know, so the limit isn't $1 because the average cost per click is $1. So let's say the limit is like 50 cents. But you know what I mean. Okay, I think you know what I'm trying to say. So yeah, there's things like that. Like if it's too low, it's not gonna run. But so then you might be wondering, well, what do you mean by that? Like, how do you see people show like the ad results with like a less than a cent, or you know, actually a cent cost per click? If that's the case, I'm talking about top of funnel ads here, because a top of funnel ad is going to be a Google ad is typically going to be a top of funnel ad where they've never heard of you before with that ad, unless you're doing like a custom audience on there. But it has to be really big to do that. I think their limit is like 50,000 or something. I don't know. But yeah, it's a big thing. So all of that to say, you know, there's no like one like kind of like size like fits all with marketing or sales, particularly in the music industry. And you know, a lot of people, they're like looking for this like one thing that's going to, you know, make them big or whatever. But the truth is it's a lot like music with marketing, and in terms of one note doesn't completely make the song, but unless it's like, you know that those memes, those trends going around, like you can identify a song with one note, but the entire song is not one note. You know what I mean? So it's that's what I'm trying to say. Like, but what I mean is, like, with marketing, it's not one thing is going to make your marketing all of a sudden, you know, make a bunch of money. That's not how it works. It's a culmination of all of the work you do, and then you finish the product. You know what I mean? So it's not like a quick fix type of thing. It's an over time. But it's always better to spend less money on an ad, a really tight budget, and then slowly raise it. And when you raise an ad, that's called vertical scaling. When you raise an ad on one product. And then when you figure out what works for you on that one product, and you continue that on others, because you're like, okay, this works, we're going to put this on others now. That's called horizontal scaling. So a lot of times it's like, okay, businesses are talking about, scaling your business. Is that a scam or is that real? How do you know? Well, can they talk to you about horizontal and vertical scaling of your ads, or are they just trying to be vague and get you to sign up for shit? That's kind of how you can tell. Like, can they actually talk about it, or are they only trying to sell you something? That's how you know if it's worth looking into. But the reason I pulled up this little graphic here of the treble clef was, like with the treble clef, I have, these little tricks for memorizing the notes, right? So for example, like I would always remember it as D face G, or, I would always remember like C, every good bitch deserves flowers, So there's like different ways of remembering things, and there's like tricks, and I have that trick from like music, and you can do the same with marketing. But yeah, so there'll be like tricks along the way that help you remember, like that one thing helped me remember the treble clef notes, right? But well, how do you apply that to marketing is you just start remembering like the acronyms for that, and you learn tricks along the way that help. So there's not ever going to be like a one thing. There's no one size fits all for anyone. It's just, you learn what along the way, and then I don't know if you watch like Yoga with Adrienne, but you just find what feels good for you, and you take what works and you just leave what does not. So yeah. And I want to thank you all for just being here today. Let's see. Let me switch over here. Doom, 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 doom. So I do have like on my site, like if you're showing up anyway, for my live, you get points for being here with the loyalty program, and that comes with discounts on the merch. I'm going to be doing a 420 discount for people in the loyalty program. So yeah, things like that. I just wanted to remind y'all all about that, put that out there. And there's merch on the store. I also have merch on my TikTok profile, but I recommend going to my site instead, because you not only get a discount there right now for the merch launch, but also there's more stuff there, because TikTok shop is kind of annoying, so But yeah, I was going to wrap up soon, but before I go, I just wanted to see if anyone has any questions or anything like that. I was trying to change my background, but it's not changing when I click the button. Life is hard. I'm just gonna Well, I'm gonna finish now. Why can't I change this? Why can't I make you go away? Alright, there we go. Sorry. I'm gonna finish now. Is there anything that like anyone here wants to talk about? All good? Well, my arm and my hand, my wrist are hurting today. So I had said at the beginning of the live, you know, this is probably going to be a faster one. I've been trying to do, you know, a longer lives, but I don't want to overdo it. I definitely have a live planned on YouTube. It's going to be on the Deaf Child YouTube channel. So, yeah, I would go there. It's about Alexander Graham Bell. And it's about if he actually invented the telephone. So that's what we're going to be talking about in my next live. I see a Victoria, aka Tori, just joined. My twin's name is Tori, so that one's going to make me cry. So I'm going to go. I hope you have a good day, and thank you for being here.